No jumper. No jumper is in shambles. I'm going to give a brief history of how it all started, and we're going to go all the way up to where they're at now. The departure of pretty much everyone on staff. Let's get into it. So No Jumper started out as a podcast hosted by Adam22, in which he interviewed mostly up-and-coming SoundCloud rappers. To be honest, this is where I first heard of Lil Pump, XXXTentacion, and Lil Peep. Let me jump in here and say this bald Adam, this is who we liked, this is who we related to, the Adam who hadn't yet touched $1 million. This new Adam with the hair plugs sitting there all smug, this is who we dislike. Adam's the type of dude to point the finger at everyone around him and say that they've changed. Meanwhile, he needs to look in the mirror, because that's where the problem lies. No Jumper grew from its inception into a very popular podcast in which Adam turned it into more of a vlog / podcast, and he needed to bring in more people, so he brought in his friend Housephone, eventually bringing in Duno and AD. At this point, No Jumper is doing numbers. It's very successful, but for some reason, Adam chooses to bring in the gangbanging era of No Jumper, introducing us to the likes of Milk74 and Crip Mac. At this point, I think Adam saw the views and not the danger that he was inviting into his life. When you interview rival gang members, one might catch some feelings about it, and you might catch some beef. And let's be honest, Adam is not built like that. When you're getting punked by Russ and MGK, you do not want problems with LA gang members. Around this time is when Milk actually pulled up to No Jumper, as he actually wanted to throw hands with Adam22. AD stepped in and nothing happened, but it can't help but make me wonder why Adam still wanted to be on the forefront of everything. At this point, he had a lot of people working for him. He had AD, Duno, and other people doing interviews on their own. Adam could have took a back seat and just let No Jumper run like a finely oiled machine. Adam could have called the shots from the background and kind of took a back seat and not been involved in the drama, but for some reason, he always had to be in the limelight. He then decides, hey, this would be a perfect time to start my porn career. Him and his fiancée, Lena, decide to start Plug Talk, a podcast in which they interview porn stars and then bang them afterwards. Most women choose to do porn because they have no other options. They have no career. But Adam, coming in here, a successful business, decides, hey, I'm going to do porn. I'm pretty sure Plug Talk actually brings in more money than No Jumper, but he couldn't let No Jumper go. He just had to be involved in everything. And at this point, he starts a brand new podcast with Danny Mullen. And this is a pivotal point. This is where everything changes. From this point, No Jumper and Adam22 would no longer be the same, and everything would go downhill. As you can see from these video titles, Danny Mullen has been accused of being a racist various times and to have racist jokes. But if you call him on it, he's the type of dude to say, hey bro, you just don't understand my edgy comedy. Danny Mullen also supposedly versed in jiu-jitsu, but when it gets called out by Brandon Buckingham, let's see what happens.
What's up, bitch? What's good?
Hey,
what's up? Let's go. What's good, Danny? Don't touch me, Nico. Don't touch me. I'll fuck you up, Nico. What's good? Nico? I'm telling you. Nico, touch me again. What's good, bro? What up? What are you filming, bitch?
This look on his face is definitely not the one of someone who wants to fight. It's more like, wow, how many views am I gonna get?
Stop it!
So now you know why a lot of people refer to him as Danny Mayo. Danny Mullen hanging around the staff was definitely causing some waves, but none could predict the tidal wave that would come. Adam outing his best friend Housephone on, of course, a Sledgelords podcast with Danny Mayo. So for some reason, Danny and Adam have this person on their podcast. I'm not sure why she was on the podcast in the first place. I don't know who she is. She is not famous, but for some reason, Adam had her on. And during the podcast, she said that she had hooked up with Housephone, Adam's best friend. Once it aired, Adam's excuse was he told the editor to edit his name out of the podcast so no one would know who she was talking about.
It seems like I'm worried about people calling me a bad friend for just not editing this and putting it out.
That is what Adam said during the podcast. Adam, it sounded like you knew it was coming out and you knew there would be problems. Once again, Adam's excuse was he told the editor to edit Housephone's name out of the podcast. But here's the thing. If it was that important to him, he should have got the final copy of the podcast and watched it all the way through before giving the editor the okay to upload it onto YouTube. And option number 2, he could have edited the whole podcast in the first place. That way, none of this would have ever happened. This was just the tip of the iceberg as it led to the destruction of No Jumper. The No Jumper staff voiced their opinions and how they thought Adam was wrong and he dealt with the situation incorrectly and he should have just took accountability for the whole situation. But Adam never wants to take accountability. It's always someone else's fault. In this case, he blamed the editor for not editing Housephone's name out of the podcast. Shortly after that Housephone situation comes the situation with him and Lush.
Lush, you lied to me.
What?
You lied to me, Lush.
About what?
What I just tried to talk to you about in the hall?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
I didn't say nothing.
Well, I got confirmation from a bunch of different people.
Nah, fool.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. And it looks funnier the more you lie.
So this is a live podcast in which Adam chooses to confront Lush because Lush had said some things to some people that Adam had told Lush in private.
The entire chat. I didn't say that shit.
I honestly think, at least for now, maybe we could come to the bottom of this at some point, but it's probably better that you just leave.
All right, man.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not expect this to be a narrative that was taking place today, but we got to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm just super disappointed.
It turns out Adam had said some things in private to Lush about AD and the future of his career at No Jumper, and Lush kind of let it slip. But Adam thought the appropriate way to handle this would be to fire him on a live podcast. Once again, Adam chose the wrong way to handle the situation, and then that led to a fight between Adam and AD. And once again, instead of taking accountability for the whole situation and apologizing to AD, instead of saying, sorry man, I said that about you, let's move on from there, it's my bad, Adam chose to deflect and blame Lush for the entire situation. So after the Housephone situation and then the Lush situation, one by one, all the OG No Jumper members decided to call it quits.
Yeah, and as time went by, as I was growing, he pushed me to start streaming. He pushed me to start doing different endeavors. And once it started, becoming successful, I felt like he kind of, started looking at me a little different. And yeah, man, then, the power tripping started happening. And, once you playing with the guy's livelihood and shit like that, like we straight.
So now that AD is gone, Trell's gone, Duno's gone, they're all coming out and talking about their experiences with Adam22. And Duno has a story in which he asked Adam to take a post down, and Adam said straight up, no.
I was going through some things, and I asked
They
him
was
to take
pressing you?
a video down. And he's like, no.
You know why he didn't want to take it down? Because he wanted Duno to get into some shit. He wanted something to happen to Duno. so he can make more content out of it, Lo.
So that's pretty much where we're at today. If you turn on No Jumper, you're not going to find AD, no Duno, no Trell. All of your favorite No Jumper hosts, they're gone. If you're looking for Lush, he's no longer there. So this seems like a case of the money, the fame, the power, the clout got to Adam22's head. To be honest, I started out as a fan of No Jumper, of the podcast, even some of the vlogging. I would tune into the interviews. But as of now, I really have no interest in what they're going to put out. Adam has shown us his true colors. He could care less about his friendships. It's all about the clicks and the views. I'm pretty sure it didn't start out that way. The bald Adam might have had good intentions, but this new Adam, this hair plug Adam, has turned into what his haters said he was from the beginning. And I haven't even mentioned the friction it caused when he had neo-Nazis on his platform. And I also have not mentioned the numerous accusations of Adam and younger women. That is gonna do it for the demise of No Jumper. What are your guys' thoughts? Go ahead and leave them in the comments. Are you rocking with No Jumper? Are you gonna stop watching? Personally, my time was invested into getting to know AD, Trell, Duno, getting to know their personalities, and now that they're not there, I just can't see myself watching. Don't forget, hit that like, hit that subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I am out.